All right, guys, we got another amazing episode. Today we have Decap, the man, the legend himself.
Yo, thank you guys for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, dude, I feel like we already gotten like 5 podcasts worth of conversation without shooting the shit this morning.
We should have been recording all of that.
Even just now, a second ago.
For those of you guys who don't know Decap, he's a super well-respected producer. He created Drums That Knock, which has been a best-selling sample pack on Splice for quite a while. It's been used by a bunch of big names and has had a bunch of production credits. So you want to talk a little bit more?
Yeah, so as far as production credits, I've done stuff for like The Baby, Joyner Lucas. Drums That Knock's been used pretty much everywhere, top 40 records. It's been amazing to like go on Spotify and hear my stuff being used. I've heard it on like Meek Mill, Eminem, Logic, Madonna. It's been wild. Beyonce.
That's insane.
Yeah.
How'd you get started with doing sample packs?
So what's crazy is I've always been a producer. Like that's my main thing. But back in 2016, I just realized that like drums weren't like hitting the way I wanted them to hit. So I just felt there was like a hole in the market for that. I wanted like I wanted something someone could load up and just off the bat it would just smack. So I used some of my techniques to get it to hit hard. Put it out there, and I didn't expect it to like pop off or anything, but it just started kind of taking off.
That's crazy.
So,
did you notice that back in the day people were really greedy, and now people are sharing shit a lot more? Because before it was like, oh, I don't want to share my secret kick drum. Even I've been like that.
Yeah,
5-6 years ago, you know.
But back in the day, it was like a lot of it was done like, on people used to sample off like vinyl records. Like you'd hear like an Earth, Wind and Fire snare, and you take that and use it. And then that's like my snare because I found that snare. Nowadays, it's just the game isn't like that. Everyone's sharing. It's just way more open, way more free. Everyone helping each other. So I like seeing the game this way.
Even sound design was like that, especially when Cymatics was first coming out.
That's what helped us so much. Just EDM specifically, people were like, oh, I don't want to share my dubstep basses or my trap leads and stuff in Serum. They didn't want to share their presets. And now it's like, how many Serum packs are out? Fucking 10,000 of them.
Do you guys think that's cool, or do you think it waters it down?
I think it's awesome. I mean, in a way, I think it pushes it forward, if anything, because it's not going to water it down, because it's just going to make the good people have to do more shit, get better.
It helps everyone step their game up, too, because if I hear like someone sharing this crazy sound, I'm like, oh, man, that's crazy. Now I'm going to try to innovate even more. Like we push each other.
Exactly.
Or even sometimes, like we were talking earlier, like people don't want to just even share what they're up to. Even from business perspective, sharing different ideas and stuff, because it's just like, fuck it. So one person's success is never going to like take away. You know what I'm saying? That's what I was saying earlier. We never think that. There's
no competition because like we could just help each other out and both do better.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're how you're twisting your compressor is some kind of major thing to your career, then you're fucked already too. Like you're done.
4-1.
Yeah.
No, I do 4-2.
Yeah, I mean, I saw like somebody was interviewing some producer that releases sample packs. They're like, how do you process your drums or 808s? And he's like, oh, it's a secret compressor, outboard compressor I use, but I can't talk about it. And I'm like, why does it fucking matter?
That's old school. Like I put all my stuff on YouTube. Like just give it away.
Do you do like YouTube tutorials?
I do, yeah.
Oh, awesome. I gotta check those out.
I got my own page.
Oh shit, I gotta check those out. You want to talk about some like techniques used for kick drums?
Sure. So when I'm doing kick drums, it depends on the track for one. One thing that I think is underrated is one thing that makes the kick sit really well in the track is when it's in the same key as the sample or the same key as the melody. When the kick's in a different key, like a lot of times it'll be off and you won't know why. It'll be like, oh, that's not the right kick sample. Sometimes by just tuning it, it just sounds infinitely better, like right off the bat.
What about like plugins you use on kicks?
Plugins I use on kicks. So to make my kicks, a lot of my kicks are made in Operator in Ableton. And I'll just use a sine wave with like a pitch envelope to like actually design the kick. One of the first things I did and I noticed it hit super hard was I used the glue compressor in Ableton. It has like a soft clip mode, so you can like drive a kick through it and it soft clips the kick. That was like the first one I found. And since then I've like tested a whole bunch of ones, analog hardware, software. But the soft clipper is crazy because it made it sound so analog and warm. And all it was doing was soft clipping it. I know Fruity Loops has a similar one, the soft clipper and Fruity Loops.
Yeah, everybody loves that thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty much everybody that comes on here's favorite plugin.
And I just want to debunk something real quick. Everyone says like FL has a certain punch to it. It's actually not true. I tested it. It's not true. Ableton and FL are the same. It's just they don't have the same plugins on the master. Ableton, if you like, I figured this out early. If you use soft clipper, I mean, if you use glue compressor in Ableton, it does the same exact stuff as soft clipper.
I feel like, at least for me, I can overdrive Ableton a lot more on the master
Totally.
personally. Like, I mean, I'll fucking let shit go way over in the red and it sounds fine.
Why not?
Do you do that too ever?
Yeah, a
Or
lot
do
of
you limit
times.
stuff?
You know, it changes. Like, I heard I was at NAMM the other day, and I was listening to an engineer. He explained it well. He said, "I work with the ceiling." So like 0 decibels is our ceiling as a producer. So if you engage with that ceiling, the ceiling will talk back. So if you're driving stuff into the ceiling says, well, this is the limit. We can't go any louder. But the resistance you get is that clip sound or whatever it is. So I feel like part of the art of like making tracks can be working with the ceiling. A lot of people say mix it like -6. And I think there's some truth to that because some of the like old vintage plugins are meant for you to work like at lower volumes. But I feel like in general, there's just no rules. Like you can drive things how they're not supposed to be driven. You can mess with the ceiling. Anything to get you that sound you want. And there's a lot of producers out there now, their whole sound is them interacting with like levels of distortion, like how hard they hit the sound into the ceiling. So
how do you like mixing your kicks and 808s together? Because a lot of people say compress or sidechain versus no sidechain. What do you like to do?
It depends. I mean, sometimes like when you have an 808 and a kick, they can clash. Sometimes that clashing is good. Like a lot of hip hop records, there will be a kick and an 808 and it just sounds good for that second it clashes. Sometimes if you don't want that, you can put like a compressor and like sidechain it. So like when the kick hits, the 808 ducks down. Another thing that's super underrated is you can build the kick into the 808. So when you're designing an 808, that first transient is the kick, and the 808 plays off of it. So it's like one thing. You're not trying to mix two different things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, that's what I do. I just switch it up depending on what it needs.
Right.
What about getting like your 808s to actually hit on like phone speakers? Because that's really hard for most people.
Or laptops.
Yeah,
right.
Laptops, phones, whatever, small speakers.
Well, that's like a big part of how I do my drums. Like I want when someone loads it up into their DAW, it's just hitting right off the bat. Phones don't play like low frequencies, like anything below, I don't know, like 100 something, like 170 maybe. So a lot of my work is done on like the top end. Like you want to hit the high frequencies and the mids. And to get that sound, it's really the saturation. It's the way it's clipping. So like I might use an Ableton saturator. I might use a certain EQ and boost up that band. It might go through like some analog gear that hits the saturation. Like there's this rack called the Culture Vulture or the Distressor. Like you can pretty much anything, honestly, like anything that works. I just try a bunch of different shit.
Do you notice a difference between analog and software?
Yeah, it's different for sure. It's not always better depending on what you're trying to do. Yeah, I do notice a difference.
Because have you tried like anything like a side-by-side test of like a distressor, like you just said, with the actual distressor versus plugins?
I never have like gone that deep with it. I've seen people do it, but I've never actually tested it. I just know like after I go to the studio, like after I book studio time and like record stuff, it is different. Like the SSL, like I did a bunch of stuff through the SSL, it wasn't the 9000. I can't remember which one it was. I did the 4000 and then the duality. And the G-Bus compressor, it just sounds different. You know, it has like a different tone to it. Hard to explain. And also as you're adjusting it, it's hands-on. So you're not dragging a mouse or looking at meters necessarily. You're just tweaking it by hand.
I found that helps me so much, man. Since I've gotten more into analog stuff, it's so much easier for me.
Right.
How long have you been into production? Because you've been doing it a while.
Man,
right?
a long time. Since I would say like since I was in like 9th grade.
He said he was using the 4-track recorders, but for real, not like
Yeah.
doing it for the sound, but
I had
doing
the
it
Tascam. I had the Tascam Porta 2 back in the day, and it wasn't for sound. Like we just didn't like get into computers yet.
Yeah.
What
So,
what got you
crazy.
into it?
so I was in a rap group back when I was in like 9th grade, and we needed beats. So I bought a drum machine, the 4-track, a tape deck to mix down. So like now we just hit render, but back then it was like we had 4 tracks and they'd go into another tape.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a layer of hiss like on everything.
Yeah, and then if you run out of tracks, you got to like go back, record
Yeah.
it,
Into
record
one
that
track.
back in, but then you get another layer of hiss from that. It's fucking
Exactly.
ridiculous.
Oh,
man.
it was, all my old demos sound like that. They're like,
But they probably sound fucking awesome though because of that. In a way.
yeah, it's got that vintage
dude,
feel.
I want to hear them. Do you have like tapes?
I
and
have
shit?
everything I've ever done.
Bro, I wish I did. I've been talking about that. I wish I had all my old shit. That's awesome. I want to check them out. That's fucking cool. You gotta show me some tapes.
I will.
What helped you kind of start going to that next level? Because I mean, you've been on a long production journey. Like,
Right.
what kind of things kind of stepped you to or helped you get to where you are today?
Man, that's a really good question, and I probably wouldn't know how to answer it, like, because there's so many factors. You know what I mean? Like, I think the love for it has kept me through, like, helped me see it through.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would say, you know, I took a break from music completely. Like, I worked and, you know, just got better and better through the years, and then around like 2009, I took a break. And it was kind of like, for me, I experienced it like I want to study like spirituality and understand just life outside of what I've made in my life at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And it was more like a, you know, I'd say a journey to kind of find myself. And then I came back into music like a year or two later, and I just felt like I had a renewed vision, renewed purpose. So from that point, I just got more clear. Like I knew that there was no plan B. I was just going to fully go for it and fully just, this is my life now. Like I'm a producer, I'm an entrepreneur, there's no plan B, and this is what I'm doing. So I think with that mind state, it kind of held me in place that, you know, this is what I'm going to do. And so then like every meeting I had, every encounter, every situation was all for that purpose.
That's dope. Yeah.
Do you have any like lifestyle stuff you do day to day that helps you?
I do. You know, it changes. Like there's been times when I meditate every day. Lately, it hasn't been as much, but I like to do breathing exercises, grounding exercises.
What kind of meditation?
You know, people have different types they do, but I just would close my eyes and sit on the couch and just breathe.
Focus on your breath?
Focus on my breath. Yep.
Dude, it's so hard to stay present in the moment.
Yeah.
So without letting your mind just wander off and just sit there.
You really can't. Like most of the time, you're not. Like when you start meditating, like you're gonna have tons of thoughts come in. That's just part of it now for me. Like people say, "Oh, I'm not good at meditating," but there's no way to be good at it because, you know, the ego is the ego, the mind is the mind. It's always gonna be thinking. But if you focus on breathing, you just keep coming back to that moment, and then I think you hit a point where you just kind of you're just in a new space, a new frequency. So I think you get to that point, but I don't think anyone should expect that they have to be good at it. There's no good.
Yeah.
Like
No, it's funny.
nobody can be good.
Has that helped you with your music, getting into the spiritual side of
Definitely.
things?
Definitely.
How so?
Well, I think that, and you guys can probably attest to this, but I think like the biggest thing, the hardest thing to do sometimes with our world the way it is today is just focus on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And things like meditation, things like breathing, just paying attention, like they all help you focus. And when you can focus on something, you can really go far with it. So I think that helps a lot with music.
Yeah.
And it just helps you hear more too. Like a lot of times when you meditate, you have more perspective. Like you can see beyond that moment. So I definitely feel like meditation's a big part of it.
I got to get back into it. I used
Me
to
too.
be kind of into it. Now I'm like, damn, I got to get back focused.
It goes like this for me. Sometimes I won't do it for a couple months and then I'll be like, oh, I should be doing that. And like times like right now when I haven't been doing it much, what I've done in the past to get back into it is I'll set my timer on my phone for like 3 minutes. And I'll be like, I need to meditate for 3 minutes. And then all the time, every single time, you want to keep going because you get in a stride, but you never want to start. You're always like, no, I should be doing something else. I should be productive. Not realizing that meditation is going to make you 5 times more productive.
I've been doing that in general lately with any task. Like, I'm going to do it for 10 minutes, even if I don't feel like doing it. And almost every time I finish it, it works every time.
Yeah. That's awesome.
How do you start tracks? Like, when you start something, is it drums? Is it melodies or just whatever?
I did a Instagram post on this. I said, what do you guys do? Do you guys start with, because a lot of people that follow me are producers. Do you guys start with drums or melody first? And I'd say 80% of people start with melody. Mm-hmm. I'm just one of that 20% that does the drums first.
That's interesting.
Almost all the time it's drums, and it's always been that way since I started.
That's interesting. I do it sometimes randomly, but it's usually if I'm like building something for a loop or something, then I'll be like, oh, this is hard. I'm going to keep working on this, you know?
But there is a thing that happens, like I might do a pattern and then come up with a melody after, and it doesn't quite work together. Mm-hmm. I'll change the drums after that.
That makes sense.
But it's drums first, and most people are the other way, but that's my way.
Yeah. No, I think the melodies, it's just like the drums kind of pop into your head, but I feel like your drums that knock. You have to start with drums.
Yeah, that's what I say. Got to.
I got to.
Well, so what makes you stick on the experimental side of your music? Kind of like weird, wonky, like heavy beats.
It's just what I like. It's what I enjoy doing. I used to, like, when I started producing, it was like all about placements, and like I want to make stuff to kind of fit in the box that's already out there. Mm-hmm. It just ain't my thing anymore. Now it's about just making the music I want to make, and even if it doesn't get placed or whatever, I don't care, because I have my brand built where I can just release it. It's my music. Mm-hmm. I'm not even giving a cut to someone else. Like, I'm putting out the stuff I want to make. With that said, there's a lot of artists that are now hearing it. They're like, yo, we want that different sound. Everyone's making the same kind of beats anyway. So I think it just kind of puts people ahead when they do the stuff they really want to do, because their heart and soul is in it, as opposed to trying to make something that fits like, oh, this is what hip hop should sound like or whatever. It's just never been my thing.
Do you make your beats like less complex if you're producing for somebody? So they have room to kind of create more on top of it? Yeah,
definitely. I have a couple, like, I'll put out experimental stuff. Kind of like I have an EP that's coming out this week, and that has a lot of my more experimental stuff that I worked on or collabed on. When I'm producing for an artist, a lot of times it'll be very simple, and a lot of my beats in general are very simple. Like, and another like mixing tip, like producers would be like, how do you get your stuff to sound so clean? I just keep it empty, a lot of space, because it gives every element a chance to shine in the mix. So like a lot of times, my stuff is very simple, for sure. I actually prefer simple beats.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
How do you go about getting swing on your stuff? Because your stuff is always so swingy.
So some of my tracks, like in Ableton 10, there's this thing called capture. Mm-hmm. So I'll just like literally just play a drum beat and then hit capture, and then it'll just load whatever.
What do you play it on, like a MIDI or something?
Just on the push.
Oh, cool.
Or on a MIDI keyboard or something.
So you're actually playing stuff in? You don't like draw stuff in by hand usually?
Well, that's one, like for the boom bap kind of swingy stuff, I'll play it. But for more like, I guess you call it trap type stuff, there's different things you can do. One thing is like when you have a hi-hat, if you draw on a hi-hat pattern, it's like right on the grid. If you have a kick and a snare and you move the hi-hat, the whole pattern over like 50 milliseconds, it's going to give it like a certain bounce. Mm-hmm. And then you could start playing with the kick and snare placement just to get it to bounce right. So I move things by hand, like when I'm going for like that trap swing.
For sure. Cool.
Yeah.
Do you ever play live?
Yeah, I do live shows sometimes. Like lately, it's been more studio stuff. A lot of people are hitting me up like, "When are you coming on tour? When are you coming to our city?"
Dude, I was listening to your stuff this morning, and I was like, "Damn, this is like some Mr. Carmack type bangers."
That's what I'm thinking.
It was like, homie, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've done. We got a track together too.
Dude, I gotta hear that, man.
Well, we didn't put it out. I actually hit him up. I wanted it to make this EP, but we didn't get in touch in time. So.
Okay, yeah.
But it'll probably be on his next album.
That sounds fucking awesome, man.
But to answer the question, there's a lot of people who are in my space who do live shows. I need to really do more of it, but I've been so busy with studio stuff.
I'm just saying because your music would go off. You know what I'm saying?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it really would. Especially in Atlanta, I could see it fucking crushing it in our scene. It's It's definitely got like a little bit of the southern sound, but then it's just like swings so hard.
Dude, I wish you were here for our showcase night, because then
dude.
come out of nowhere, because you'll shit on
Dude, we do we do these like live showcase nights where people can go up and just like play their music off their phone now for like 3 minutes. So
that's dope.
But next time we do one, you got to come play your stuff.
Yeah, I probably want to hear some of the guys' stuff, because I'm always looking for people for like my label and stuff, like Future Knock.
Dude,
like,
there's random people that come that are like,
it's usually like 2 to 3 people per night, or like one that just really sticks
like
out.
really good. Like, whoa, this guy is insane.
I love going to showcases, like, and just watching like the experimental producers do their thing. Like, there's some crazy stuff, and I end up working with a lot of guys like that too.
Yeah. People don't realize, like, live event stuff, if somebody's hosting an event, like, get connected wise, it's like one of the best things, man.
It's wild, man. Yeah.
Do you have any like creative plugins you use? Like, I'm trying to think of an example, like Shaper Box or something like that, Filter Shaper, stuff like that.
I just bought Shaper Box 2 days ago.
Do you like it so far?
I haven't even tried it yet.
I fucking love it, man.
Halftime is fire.
Oh, dude, I mean, halftime's on everything. I like the real halftime, the tape halftime, where you put it in half speed. That's the real sauce.
That is the real deal.
What about like compressors?
So I just got UAD. So I've been using, like, on vocals, I love the Distressor. The Vox Box is great. CL1B. In production, a lot of times when I'm making tracks, like in Ableton, glue compressor.
Yeah, man.
I just love the glue compressor.
So you just like using stock a lot of the time?
Ableton, like, most of my workflow is stock, because they're just so good.
I know. Have you
So
tried
creative.
the channel EQ yet?
Yeah.
I love that thing.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, Reed showed it to me the other day, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is
It's just
amazing."
a little more simple, right?
Yeah, but the high shelf just sounds like really clean on it. It's really nice.
Right.
So how'd you get the, just out of curiosity, the DaBaby placement?
So the DaBaby placement happened. I was working with this producer, Avidon, out of LA, he works with like Scott Storch and tons of people. He's killing it right now. And we made a beat together that ended up on a record by Doobie. And they put it out. And then one day I was just eating lunch or something. Avidon texted me like, "Yo, DaBaby's jumping on the remix." I was like, amazing. And then it came out. So that's how it happened.
Awesome. Have you ever been in contact with him at all?
I've never talked to him. I just have a placement with him.
Dude, I could definitely see him on a lot of your stuff with the
Yeah.
short 808s and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been kind of his sound lately. I would love to do some stuff with DaBaby. DaBaby, if you're watching, like, hit me up.
We're trying to get him on here, actually.
Dope.
We got in contact with his manager one time, but just the timing didn't work out. But they were down to get on here because they'll just do fucking anything. They're just
okay.
Yeah, they'll do any press. They're hustlers, man.
But also-
the baby is
Well, that's why he's doing so well right now.
Dude, he's killing it, man. And like the past year and a half, he also kind of shows that you don't have to be a fucking 17-year-old to be a big
How old is
rapper
he?
now.
How old is he? Yeah.
It's like 26, 27, something
Oh,
like
really?
that.
Good
Yeah,
for
he's
him,
not.
man.
He's
Yeah.
not like he's
doesn't
been
have-
hustling for like 10 years though on his project.
But he
It's not
also
brand
doesn't
new.
have the crazy look like the other people.
Yeah, exactly. Like I mean, he does have like face tats and stuff, but not as obvious.
It doesn't
But,
feel
yeah.
like
But his personality is so huge.
Oh,
Like, he's
yeah.
just he seems
Enigma.
like just someone you remember. You know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's a star.
Yeah, for sure. There's certain people with that. 2 Chainz said he knew that he had that when he
Yeah.
was younger. He like knew that when he walked in a room, people just gathered around
He's
him.
got magnetism.
Yeah, exactly. It's super interesting.
Plus, guys like DaBaby fucking dominate Instagram.
Right.
Like, think about how much attention that dude gets on a
Especially
regular
when he's
basis.
beating people's asses on a regular basis.
Cam Cold Hot.
Dude, when he got in the fight in the Louis store was like the funniest shit I've ever seen, I think.
That was like a DJ Khaled on his jet ski moment. You know what I'm saying? That's what that was. Like a big, like just.
No, he got big off that. straight
Another
up.
one.
Yeah. I mean, that was like a big thing.
How do you like to get your mix loud, like your final mix? Is there any kind of like mastering that you do within?
So I mix as I go, really. Like, and I have some tutorials about this on my channel.
Yeah,
like,
I gotta
show,
check these out. I didn't even know you had tutorials.
But I really just do it as I go. Like, I try to, like, for me, it's about like what I think is the sweet spot. Like, I try to get everything in that sweet spot, and I like when stuff's a little bit crunchy, a little bit crushed. Like it always just feels right to me. So I mix as I go. Like, the track has to be hitting while I'm making it in order for it to have impact. It can't be all quiet when I'm making
dude,
it,
that's
you
the
know?
other thing is
Yeah.
you can't even work on it. I feel like it's not getting you excited if it's all fucking
Exactly.
sounds like shit.
Like, I can't. I've tried mixing how the engineers say to do it, -6. I mean, first of all, Ableton, you got like 61 decibels of headroom.
Oh, I know.
So you don't need to mix at -6, really. I mean, especially if you're just, I don't know. I like to mix loud.
You just don't like thinking about it. That's how I am. If you know, it's not even knowing what you're doing. It's like knowing how to just make stuff sound good.
Exactly.
Do you find like when you go into real studios, you kind of like it's hard. You gotta mess with the gain staging and stuff a little bit more to be careful?
No, I mean, I just kind of do things my way all the time.
Yeah,
like when I'm in the studio, I actually just learned Pro Tools like a couple months ago.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm trying to get into it too, but
so I've never been able, and part of the reason I learned it is because I like to be in control. I'm a producer, so I like to be in control of the whole process. I don't like just making the beat or just letting an engineer take care of it. Like, I kind of know how I want stuff to sound, so whether it's correct or not, I don't know, but it's me and it's what I like. So when I'm in the studio, I want to be able to understand what the engineer's doing, so I could take over in a moment if it's necessary. You know what I mean? So that's why I learned Pro Tools, and I think it's a good thing to learn for that reason. So when I'm in the studio, like when I did Drums and Knock 8, all that was run through the SSL Duality. And it was experimental. Like I sat in the seat, I had Ableton on the main computer and the SSL running through Ableton. So I'd clip stuff on the SSL, I would compress stuff on it. There was no like gain staging. I was just like, does it sound good? Yeah, I'm keeping it. You know?
I mean, that's how it's got to be sometimes, honestly, man.
Totally.
What are we at on time, Jordan? Oh, sweet.
What kind of stuff do you like to do to create your melodies? Do you like to design all your sound from scratch? Or are you like using samples, resampling stuff?
Yeah, man, it depends. Like, I like recording. Like, I might record a note from like a kalimba, or like sometimes I might just load up Omnisphere and just start playing and not even design anything and just try some stuff. A lot of times when I'm I have a couple different mindsets when I go into production. Like, one way I approach it is I'll just be making a track, and normally I'll load up sounds I already made and like just create with it. Other approach is sound design, where I'll be like, okay, today I'm gonna make kick, snares, hi-hats, melodies, and sound design leads. I find that when I'm making tracks like for artists, for example, or just making a beat, like a lot of times I'm not doing a ton of sound design. I just load stuff I've already done. So I have like kind of two approaches to it.
Do you work with artists a lot, like in the studio, or is it usually online?
There's a little bit of both. Like sometimes it's online, but I actually prefer when artists come to my spot and we record.
Did you say you have a home studio or is it a place?
I have a studio in San Francisco.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So is it it's like a studio you go to? And,
yeah.
Oh, okay,
so
cool.
you paid $50,000 a month
SF rent. No.
for a closet.
It's crazy.
That's
I'm in SF now, but I'm also going to be in LA too.
What part are you in?
So I live in North Beach in San Francisco. But I'm going to be moving out to LA because all my connections are in LA. Like San Francisco, I love working there because it's a beautiful place. But LA is like where everyone I know in the industry is.
We were talking about getting like a shared second house out there.
Why not?
Because I mean, dude, it's every time we go out there, we get like 5 or 6 podcasts done in 2 days. It's crazy.
I mean, you come out here and it's like peaceful. You have land and go out there and just grind. It's like.
Dude, it is. It's stressful being out there. New York's probably even worse.
New York is the
worst.
worst.
These motherfuckers do not stop.
Yeah.
Like everybody's just walking all the time.
It's like you're constantly at Six Flags. That's literally how I feel.
Yeah.
Just can't ever cool it,
It's true. New York, like it's nice to visit there because it gets you in that grind mode. Like you're ready to go.
No, that's how I always feel.
But after a week or two, it's like, all right, I'm good. All love to New York. It feels like home there.
Yeah. So I got a question about Drums That Knock.
Yeah.
So did the success of that sample pack upload, like was that a surprise to you, or like what was the process of uploading the first one?
Yeah, that's a good question. When I uploaded the first pack, my thought was because I have a lot of producers that I'm friends with in the industry and stuff. I'm like, if they use it and if they want to purchase it, I would be happy. Just to have some producers I respect use it. But it kind of started popping off, like when I put it out there. Like there was something about it that people resonated with. And it turned from being like just a product I put out to being like a serious line of business, to the point where like the kit's doing really well. And I don't have any longer have to do things that I don't want to do. Like, I mean, the thing about the industry, and something I want to talk about too, is like a lot of times you'll be faced with situations that, like in my early days, I had to do certain stuff for money because I decided this was going to be my career. But you do some of these things, and for one, it's not really the work you want to do, or it might not even be as much money as you want. And you have to almost like
suck it up
and do it. So doing drum kits is something I love. It's like I'm giving back to producers, giving them a sound that they can love, and, you know, stepping up their game. And also for me, it's like its success has allowed me so I don't have to do stuff I don't want to do. I can just keep giving back. And that's you guys' whole model. Like you guys' model is we're going to give incredible amounts of value, royalty-free samples that are just amazing. Like I think that the new wave is like just giving value. Like whether it be just what did you say? When we were talking earlier, you said no limited mindsets, like no limited thinking, like just expansion.
No defense.
No defense.
That's what it is. All offense. Yeah.
I love that.
Like, for example, sitting there looking and worrying about like torrents, or like, oh, we gotta stop people from doing whatever, this or that. It's just
like I'm sure our sounds are being sold by other people, snuck into their packs.
People message me every single day, like, hey, this guy's selling your packs for whatever. I'm like, dude, if somebody doesn't want to appreciate all the stuff we do and buy it, they're probably not going to pay us anyways. Like, who the fuck cares?
Right. I mean, support good sounds.
Yeah.
Like, if the sounds are good, and obviously people are putting in work, like, buy the sounds.
But, I mean...
But at the same time, when I started out, I wasn't doing that. If you're making money from your craft...
You should definitely be buying your shit, 100%.
Yeah.
But
you got to start somewhere. I get it.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
I had to start somewhere.
Yeah. And how many have you released since?
So we're up to 8.
8.
Drums and Knock 8.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome, man.
Thank you.
What would you recommend somebody if they wanted to make their own sample pack? Like, what do you start with?
The thing that I like, if a producer wants to make their own sample pack, I would say the biggest, and I want to start it by saying the biggest issue with sample packs is people reusing stuff, reusing the Lex Luger snare, reusing the rack kick. What I recommend is, if you want your stuff to stand, and you can do that, but if you want your stuff to stand out, make your sound, learn how to make sounds, learn how to make sounds and create all new sounds, because that will give you the best chance of having something original. You know, that's my thought. Make it original. And that's how you'll stand out, because everyone has a pack nowadays, but not all of them do well.
Yeah,
it's crazy how many people are diving into it. Like, I don't know. I just wouldn't expect like so many even like mainstream people kind of hopping in and putting out packs and whatnot.
I remember back in the day, one of the first people I ever saw do a sample pack is this guy named Kroop from I think he's from the Netherlands, but I just want to give him a shout out because he actually was the one that inspired me to do sample packs. This was like in the early 2000s. And his sample pack is still legendary to this day. So he's one of the first people. And also another guy who's crazy on the drums who did some crazy sample packs. I don't even think he ever put them out, but we used to trade. M Phases. 2 crazy sample guys.
Dude, one of the on Reddit, one of the first things that popped up for me and Drew, we literally went to Walmart with this thing and just recorded like random fucking
people like that
sounds.
shit,
People loved it, you know, to use it like Foley sounds and shit. It's literally one of these guys. And fucking,
that's dope.
Found sound stuff is actually really good, and you can actually make that stuff pretty unique. You just got to spend some time,
right?
Or go out in nature, record some birds, something to not just reuse some random kicks or some shit.
Totally, like that's another thing. Pick up an H4n or H5 or whatever, and just start recording stuff. Play around, try shit, synthesis.
So, what do you think the future is for the sample pack industry? It's funny.
What's the future for the sample pack industry? I think producers are going to always need sounds. I just think that with all the people putting out packs, only the really good ones are gonna stay in the forefront. Like you guys with Viper, like you guys are bringing in real musicians, like really taking your time with shit, marketing it correctly. I think there's going to be more innovation. There already is. Like,
that's how I feel. I
innovation.
feel pressure to keep stepping them up and keep
Right.
buying new gear and learning new techniques. Like I'm not like gonna be like, okay, we can just do the same shit we've always done at this
Right.
point for sure.
I mean, that's why you guys are going to be successful, because you're not comfortable. And like when I wake up every day, I'm thinking like, how can I be better? How can I improve something about this? So always, like for guys doing sample packs, always think about how you can be better than yesterday. How can you make better sounds? Keep practicing. Keep thinking about new ideas, because I mean, there's unlimited potential for creativity. So
Definitely. Do you have any mics you like using?
so I have what I do a lot of my stuff with is the Verge, Antelope Audio Verge XY pair. They're just two, I think it's called a shotgun mic, and I just do an XY pattern with it. And the reason I do that is because when you have two mics like this, and you record like a shaker, it's going to record part of it on the left, part of it on the right. So it just gives it that stereo feel without you having to use like an imager. I like that. Sometimes I have an Edge mic by Antelope. It's like similar to like the Slate VMS. And I also did a lot of stuff on the H5. So
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I think it's more about how you mix it and how you add the effects than the mic itself, even though the mic can give you a good sound to start with, good source material.
Yeah, I've been trying to experiment more with them, or like even doing like XY miking on the top for say like a dim bay or something like that, and then on the bottom having another mic to pick up the low end, so you get like a way fuller sample. That's been helping me a lot lately. All right, do we want to wrap it up here pretty soon and then go into a bonus round? Because
Yeah, we can do that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else saucy.
are we continuing the Spotify bonus round, or are we not doing that? We can just keep the actual episode going too if you want.
I like to just keep the episode
Okay,
going.
let's
What's
just
the
do that.
Spotify bonus?
We'll try to
So-
send people over to Spotify and SoundCloud.
Just by giving them an exclusive
I think
15
it's kind of
minutes.
a pain in the ass.
Okay,
So I'm
gotcha.
sorry,
It's
guys.
just a little bit of a pain in the ass.
I'm sorry, guys, for making
Gotcha.
you guys.
No,
go
we'll
over
still
there.
give it to them. They'll just get it here.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. But we've been making people jump over for like 5 extra minutes or something.
You know, you've done an impressive job for just being like a solo sample creator,
Thank you, man.
and the amount of success.
do you
you've
have
gotten.
like a bunch of people working for you at all or anything?
As
or is
of
it just
now,
you?
no, it's all me. I'm doing all the stuff.
Dude, you're like Reed. You guys are maniacs. I would lose my mind if I
Had to do
had
everything.
to do everything.
We were just talking about hiring and stuff. I'm like, bro, it's time to hire. It's been time to hire.
That's the next move.
Because it's like Cymatics, we got a lot of people helping us. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of me and Drew, we got a lot of management to take care of, all kinds of shit.
So, like, part of it is there's so many producers out there. Like, Drums at Knock kind of, like, helped influence, like, just my curation. Like, there's so many producers coming out with, like, hard-hitting stuff now. So I started something called Future Knock, which is just, like, a collection of producers just with crazy beats. So right now I'm kind of planning, like, the next phase of Future Knock. And just knock in general has become like almost a genre. So I'm trying to pivot and just find all the talented guys who make this stuff, guys and gals, and start like a label type of thing. So that's something I've been thinking about getting into.
Did your label do any live shows? Because that sounds like fucking awesme.
Possibly.
A live show of
Yeah.
just knock stuff.
I mean, that'll be fire.
Dude, come to the. I'll open you guys up a little spot the showcase night.
Yeah, we might have to book you for
Dude,
it.
LA, we want to do like I want to get like 500 people. Just packed out. It's
Cymatics and knock.
Yeah.
Yes, I like it. Let's rock.
You get free little USB sample packs at the door. we
That'd
do
be dope.
that. Yeah, we actually do that.
Yeah, you guys are always thinking ahead, man. I like hanging out with you guys and just hearing like.
We're trying to do new shit like every day, man. It's kind of overwhelming sometimes. Sometimes we have to be like, okay, we got to take a step back and stop some of these projects temporarily so we can actually
crazy
handle
shit going on.
Because we've had so much stuff recently where we've had to take a step back and be like, okay, well, let's pick out a few important things like events, packs, stuff.
Also,
like
That's what happens when you're two innovative minds.
We're not afraid to take a project we've been working on, and just completely slice it in half and say fuck it and just cut it, because like you have to say no to shit to get to the important shit. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Dude, one thing that'll probably help even some of the sample pack stuff is you're doing a lot of stuff that's probably interesting that you don't realize. A lot of the stuff that's made what we're doing, kind of interesting is like as Drew's doing a lot of this stuff, it's like where's the story, and then tell that story. Because like with Dreams, with the vintage equipment or picking up the Rhodes, like he talked about that. That was like, it was super interesting viewpoint. But sometimes you might not even be telling people the whole process about drums that knock, and people want to hear about that. And sometimes if they hear that, they'll want to buy it more. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like what breakthrough was that you did in the studio that you didn't mention? But if you tell people that story of, man, I was up all night and fucking, and this was the key thing, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes that can help
also
you
just a
too.
video guide to just document whatever you're doing. That's what we're trying to find for my house, is just somebody to follow me around day to day, because we're missing out on so much damn content.
Dude, we had such a great conversation today that would have popped off.
Yeah.
We're just sitting here. All we had to do was turn on the fucking, press the button.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Man. I don't know. I just got so many good ideas just sitting down and talking to you. Like I just started like a reminders list of like, okay, that app, what? There's so much good stuff. I just love hanging around with people who are in it and just like innovating every day. So
yeah. Dude,
appreciate that, man.
you also you know a shit ton of people in the industry. Like how'd you get to know so many people?
Just being around. And I mean, for one, just you go and shake hands with someone and all of a sudden they might hear your music and be like, wow, that's good. Or that's one way. I think just over time, you accumulate, you meet one new person every month or something, and it just builds up.
Yeah, it adds up, and then every person introduces you to somebody.
Exactly.
Shit.
And then word of mouth. I think it just, over time, it just builds. That's how I think.
I think Instagram DMs are underrated.
I agree.
Too good.
Yep.
I use that shit fucking every day.
Do you guys find that like one of the hardest parts about this is like there's no shortage of ideas, Like I know, like we're always thinking of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next thing we can do? But it's like, how do you know what the right thing to do is? There's so many options, and you have to like be
It comes from experience.
Me and Drew literally have so many hours of just conversation about problems and ideas.
Like notebooks and pages of, like, if you guys were to assess like the value of your notebook with all the ideas in it, like,
it'd be billions
how
of
many
dollars.
billions
It's like
would it
it would be like finding all the people to put into place to do every idea. It'd be,
exactly.
Well, so something
so
that
hard.
me and Drew love talking about ideas, but we also like know like the stage. I think that's an important thing that a lot of people don't know. Like, what stage are you in your career?
Right.
And we know like there's certain things we're super excited about, but we know that it might be a 5 years later type of play. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something that's like, okay, when we're at that stage, we're going to make this move.
Well, it's good you guys know that, because then you don't waste your energy on the wrong idea, and you focus on the idea that makes sense now.
Dude, we had a bad problem with just chasing ideas, and we went out to San Fran to get try to get funding from investors, try to do the startup route, and at one point we were like,
because we thought that we didn't have enough money invested into
at one
to
point
what we were doing.
like, this isn't even us though. This isn't like we're like creative people that started a company. We're not like VC tech founders.
You don't want to like sit in a room pitching with a suit and tie on.
Yeah, like,
you're like,
what
no,
are we
we're
doing?
Cymatics. We're gonna.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, but now the thing, it's funny because at that point we were reaching out to investors. Now we have big investors reach out to us, and now we're like, well, we don't really want that now. But it's
not even
funny.
answering them. If you look at our email inbox, people would think we're stupid for not responding back to half these people.
I love the freedom too, man. I just love waking up and nobody's telling me what to do. Do whatever you feel like every day. I'm sure you feel it.
Absolutely.
And also, you're talking about, how do you distinguish what's to do and what not to do?
Right.
Sometimes the way me and Drew look at, sometimes even the smallest little task, even something as silly as us having fun playing ping pong, can sprout ideas that'll seed straight through to something much, much bigger. But you can't see in the moment, you can't see why that's important. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And what me and Drew have realized is to not judge ourselves on little activities or things that we do, because a lot of times they sprout into much bigger ideas.
Even if it's video games or anything.
Anything.
Right. It could be anything.
With Drew, it might be buying random equipment. It might be no correlation to like, how is this going to bring us back something, but then it might spark an idea. Like recently that led to the vintage equipment and all that.
Even the sessions, they started as like, oh, I'm going to go on this Gig Salad site and try some random session musicians and see how it goes. And I've met like so many good people through that, like Grammy nominated pianist, all kinds of stuff. And it was just me like, oh well, maybe I could try some local musicians, see what I find.
And then also like our Toronto studio's doing that now too. Andre's up there.
Yeah, we just started
that.
a studio in Toronto. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, I heard you mention Toronto earlier.
Yeah, we got a studio up there.
Yeah, I gotta
now
go
too.
up and check it out. I haven't seen it yet, but it's nice. It's like a built out studio.
Apparently it's got multiple rooms and office and
some
shit.
guy, basically, it sounded like a rich guy, had like built out a studio as like a passion project, and then it sounds like his wife is like, you got to do something with this shit, or something like that. But it's like he probably spent 200-300 grand. Like, it's fully soundproof, the entire thing. It has like 3 live rooms, a vocal booth. I mean, it's incredible.
It was a good deal. It was a good deal.
Good deal for Toronto prices too. It was like a guy that was like, seemed like he needed to get rid of it, but we were like, fuck.
We would have dropped 100 grand into building the shit anyways.
Right,
you know?
right.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about that.
Congrats about that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird to say we have an international studio, but apparently that's what it is now.
That's what it is now.
I'm about to go up there and check it out, see if it's real.
And we'll probably have one in LA in the future.
I could definitely
shit.
see LA because there's so many people there, man.
LA, yeah.
I could also see like either in that or even at like a WeWork to have a smaller 6-person office. It's just a media team that lives in LA because you know how easy it'd be. Like I don't have to be there to do that workshop thing we just did.
Right.
Theoretically, a
We
video
be
I
doing
could
those-
get it and
we
just
could be pumping those every day with people.
just shoot them over to us. Like edit
Right.
it. Like so like that's some stuff we're trying to do long term.
Right.
But even shit like that, we know in our head we want to do it, but it's like okay, what's like the first step?
Right.
You know,
Figure out how the fuck to hire some people here.
dude.
First step.
Hiring, bro. Good luck. You need to do it, but dude,
It's funny. Even Gary Vee, we've asked him, and he's like, "It's hard.
I don't know, man. It's tough.
Right.
It's hard."
I always imagine myself like doing it all. And it just, you guys know, it's not possible.
It's not.
It's not.
I would in my head. I do want to do that, but there's no fucking.
Even
way.
if you have to throw away money, because you're gonna have to throw away money to test people. You know,
Right.
just fuck it. It's
we fly
gone.
them out here every time. Also, the in-person test. You can't just work with somebody online. You'll
Right.
get around somebody for an hour and be like, "Holy shit!"
That ain't it. That ain't the one.
You'll find it. You'll find out.
We'll know in
quickly.
5. We'll know in 3 minutes.
Yeah,
5
usually
seconds.
you can
Right.
tell very fast. It's interesting.
Drew gives somebody a high five and he already knows. I'm just kidding.
I'm more strict than Steven.
Not the one.
I'll definitely like if I notice anything that's off about somebody, I'll be like, okay, this guy probably isn't gonna work.
Right.
But yeah, you got to be fast.
It kind of sucks because when you're running a company, you have to be more judgmental than humans should be.
Right.
You know, because like if we're hanging out with friends, we're not trying to be this judgmental about
Right.
person's character, all
Right,
this
right.
little nitpicky things. But when it comes to the culture of your company
Right.
and building a
smallest thing can
team,
Because you
majorly
gotta
affect
know,
it.
you gotta know like where it's going, and you have to have the right people for the right task, and those people gotta perform at a good level so they can move the whole operation forward.
and then actually
So-
care about it, not just see it as a job. That's
Right.
really hard to find too.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff.
are they doing shit when you're not telling them, or do you
Or
always
when
have
you're
to?
not around, you have to be sitting around them.
And you'll have to like probably, I'm guessing, like, would you guys find that you have to notice like over time, like,
Dude, I'll know so fast.
yeah,
I know in 5 minutes.
yeah,
I swear to God.
Well, a
It's
couple,
5 minutes
yeah.
every time.
Usually, we do they test offsite just because I mean obviously the office at my house right now, while we're building out the other office. But when they come in, you'll usually see it, like small things, like just
Right.
little things. You'll just see it.
How
And
they
then-
interact with other people, how
right,
stuff they say, what kind of questions people ask is huge. Like, are you asking like how to get this computer to start up a program or something, or are you like
You asking some shit you can Google, or you
Yeah,
asking me?
That's
Right.
a huge
You see
thing.
what I'm
Like the
saying?
same, I'm
Google,
sure you
yeah.
see it in your messages when
Right.
you get a certain
All
kind
the
of
time.
question for
Yeah.
somebody. You're like, why are you asking me that? Like, it doesn't make you
how do
It
I
shows
change
your
my
inte-
interface in Ableton?
Yeah,
It shows your
exactly.
intelligence level.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
because
Well,
people that are
it's all-
asking those kind of questions, and yeah, how good you can troubleshoot. Yeah,
I
there's a lot of
usually-
stuff that pops up though.
I mean, you know, like the thing is and anytime you want to know something, anytime I don't know something, I'll either hit up Google or YouTube. Everything is on there. So like, it's not efficient to DM me and ask me how to change the sound card in Ableton when you just Google
not.
it and there'll be a 7-second clip on Google.
I
that
sometimes
shows you how
think
to do
people
it.
just want like an excuse to talk to you, but that's not a good one because like
Dude.
No,
it's not to be mean, but it's just like they gotta understand we have limited
Or just
time.
basic ass questions. Somebody's like, can I? Somebody asked me something about a contest. The answer was no, so I just said nope, and I kept going. I was like, what interaction were you looking for
Right.
there that was meaningful? You know what I'm saying?
And another thing, like I think what a lot of people don't know when they DM me or you guys, like, and they send me a link to their music.
Oh, that's the worst.
99% of the time I don't check it unless like I just have free time in that moment. But it's so rare. Like I will tell people like most of the time I won't even accept a message if they're sending music.
But even
unless
if you
I
do
know
check
who they
it, it's
are,
going to be
or-
bad though. Even if you do check it, there's like a 90%. No,
maybe
it's
maybe not.
90.
I wouldn't know because I don't check it.
No, I have checked it. 95%. If people are sending out their music in that
99.
method still,
Yep.
it's usually person that
probably
hasn't
bad.
quite figured it out yet.
Well, and I just want to say, like, if anyone's watching this and they're thinking about should they send music
Don't
to,
do it.
don't do that. Like, what I like is if somebody talks contextually, like if I post something about like a new piece of gear I got or like a beat, like let's have a conversation, like how's it going? I don't know, just something interesting.
A
Not
normal
like-
human conversation.
Yeah,
You don't
I'm
go
a
up to
person. I'm not like I don't have time to check everyone's beats. You know, like
It kind of
let's
also
just have a
makes you
conversation.
feel like they're only hitting you up in order to get their music to you instead of like actually wanting to interact with you.
Also,
let's just have a conversation. We're
Yeah,
just
exactly.
people.
Also-
I'll answer
Yep.
people though all day if it's
Me
actual
too.
conversation.
I talk with tons of people. In the
when we do
DMs, so-
research, I mean, even right now, at the level me and Drew are at, people, the chances of another influencer responding for sending a song link, like we do so much research a lot of times on somebody. So like, for example, S1's coming on, but like he has a book. So like, hey, dude, do you want us to get on the show to promote your book? Like, what is it that the other person's, like, if you do a little bit of homework, figure out what they're doing and then figure out how you can value add to that release they
It's
have
never
going
like,
on.
hey, can you help us? Can you do this thing to help us get our thing out there or something like that?
Right.
That's never it.
Peep my sample pack, bro.
I mean, if you're that's even value though. If we send
Yeah,
them a sample
that's
pack, it's,
true.
at least it's something that they can use, and it's not just a fucking like song or something.
Another thing, going back to your question about sample packs, like when I first put out the Drums and Knock kit, like I was giving it out to a lot of producers that I liked in the beginning, like just so people could hear it. Like you mentioned S1, that's a homie. Like I always send him my packs because he always, he shows love and reps for it. And his shit's fucking dope too. But I send my stuff to dope producers that I like, and so they start using it. That's how I kind of got the word out with Drums and Knock in the beginning.
That's like a value thing though. It's not like you annoying somebody
No.
with your SoundCloud link.
No. It's and it's people I had a relationship with, not people I didn't know. Like I wasn't just cold messaging people like, here buy my sample pack, or I wasn't even sending it to people unless I knew them or I knew they would have value, value what I was sending them.
And straight up, the podcast has been the easiest, dude. I don't know what it is about this stupid format of a fucking table and some mics and a conversation. But
yeah,
people
really like coming out.
they
to do
love.
this.
Everybody loves getting
Wow.
interviewed. Everybody,
I think you should do one, man.
because this is about this is
I've been
about
thinking
this is about the guests, not about us.
Yeah.
Right.
Like if you think about it, like we shut the fuck up half the time. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? But like
Because people like to talk about themselves.
Yeah,
exactly,
definitely.
it's
And so you're giving like me a chance to talk about myself.
It's a,
And
you
so
get a
it's
cool
platform.
product. You get a product almost like, hey, here's your product, your episode. You got this. We're gonna promote it.
Right.
But like that
dope.
has literally brought so many people in.
Would you say like there's anything about it that's been difficult, or has it been just all easy?
The initial
all smooth
setup
flowing?
was difficult because I had to learn like how to do all this because
Right.
we don't have a video production guy, so somebody's got to do it. But
Once
once we got it set up, it was easy.
there's one thing. It was actually based on releasing.
Yeah.
Kind of just trying to stick to a schedule really helped us.
But I
Right.
feel like
Monday,
you wouldn't have
Thursday.
you probably wouldn't have a problem with that if you get a schedule going. It's super easy.
We just have a lot going on, so we constantly were like being pulled around. But fuck it, we're like every Monday just put it out. Even if we don't have time to promote it, just let it organically go.
Right.
That helped out a lot.
How much content you get for the time you put in is fucking amazing though. It's like come talk for 45 minutes and then you get 10 micro clips you can post on Instagram.
Right.
You can post the micros on YouTube. You can post the full episode. Post on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. So
That's awesome.
And
a lot of content
the
out
best part is that people know Decap, but they don't really know Decap till they
Right.
watch this.
Right.
They didn't really
Yeah.
know Decap.
I mean, I was trying
True.
to find interviews of you, and I couldn't find a ton of random stuff on YouTube. But there's a ton of people out there that don't have a lot of published interviews or anything.
Well,
you
this
know?
is one of my favorite ones I've done.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome, man. That's
Yeah,
awesome
this
to
is
hear.
Yeah.
We try to keep it pretty relaxed, where you can just go out, take a piss if you need to, whatever.
I got a
Smoke-
story to
smoke
tell
and
too about this. Like so I have been planning a single release, right? For this Friday. Like that's been planned for a while. And I was working on it. And we had just talked about, I'm coming out to Atlanta, I'm doing some stuff out here, and why don't you get in the podcast? And I realized like on Saturday night, it was Saturday night and I was working on the single. and I realized that I haven't dropped an EP in a while. So I think I'm going to make this into an EP. So I took that one track and I made it into 3. So I'm dropping an EP this Friday. So it's kind of like good timing with this that I'm
Yeah,
dropping an EP
definitely.
too.
I got an idea for you.
Yeah.
Take every single sound and try to drop like a free set of sounds that goes with your EP that are all sounds from it. You could even host a contest with it or something to help push.
Especially free
really
stuff. Have
good
you
idea.
ever
At
done
bare
free
minimum,
stuff?
do a free pack with that to help push the
If you
awareness.
do
So the
free
1, 2,
stuff,
3 sample
it would
pack.
change your
Yeah,
life, man.
for free.
Stuff will change your life.
That's what Steven's been talking about, man.
My sister, I've been telling her she does like these journaling kits and she does paid stuff only. And I was like, if you drop free stuff, it will get you so many more customers. She's like, won't they just get the free stuff? I'm like, no, that's not how it works. It brings in so many more people.
Also, think about this. You can do workshops and put as free workshops or something like that, like thing breakdowns. You got to put in your email to get a little mixing course. I'd do the same shit,
That's dope.
you know?
Yeah.
Anything that's just extra value for free
Right.
is really good for people.
Speaking of
Yeah.
which, we got to try free events too. I want to try
Yeah, I
free
want
events.
to.
Right.
Same idea, you know? A little bit more cost, but
The problem is that you end up having a fucking
shit
TanaCon.
show.
People show up in
can-
droves like fucking. There's like 2,000 producers outside
Waiting.
in the LA heat. The ambulance is being called. That's what happened. Did you see that? Tana Mongo or whatever. Mojo, whatever her name is. She did that event
Tana.
in LA. Yeah, TanaCon. And she had like so many people show up. And it was at like a hotel. So like a conference space.
Wow.
And there's just tons of people all over the place. And they had
That's
to call
wild.
ambulances for people because they're having heat strokes outside.
How do
and
you
shit.
manage that?
Oh,
You don't.
You
You
can't.
don't. It was a nightmare. It was a publicity nightmare.
I mean, that's why you don't keep selling the shit out of tickets.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, definitely. But I don't know. I guess we'd have to like cut off the free
I mean,
tickets. At some
no,
point.
you could at least still run it through something, or say fuck it.
I don't know about that. We just have to get a huge place.
Yeah,
I want to do a nom, our own nom or nam.
Yeah.
however the fuck it's.
That'd be perfect
That
for
would
you
be
guys.
fucking awesome,
Yeah.
man. I think it'd be fun, and a bunch of
Wow.
other brands get involved.
Yeah.
Have a Decap booth.
Yeah.
Decap booth.
The knock booth.
The knock
booth.
You got,
All right,
you got knock to come in. You open the door, and then you're in there.
Yeah, they got
Get
to
home
literally
soon.
knock.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
got-
knock, knock.
We should wrap this up. I gotta get home soon.
Yeah,
And
we can just wrap it up. You
Yeah.
wanna give some plugs to what people should go check out?
Man, follow me on all the social media. It's at Decap Music. Definitely, by the time this comes out, my EP will be out. It's called 1, 2, 3. It's just 3 tracks, and I worked with Golden Child, Oh Gosh Leotis, and The Count. 3 really dope upcoming producers. It's banging. Check it out. Stream it. Whatever. Follow me on YouTube for tutorials and music, and that's it.
Yeah, and we got a workshop coming out where you broke down one of your tracks.
That's right. Yeah, we got a. Oh yeah. So we have a workshop coming out with Cymatics, and it's track 3 off the EP. It's
Oh,
called
sweet.
3. So I broke that down. It's produced by me and The Count.
It's
So
a
that'll
it's a
be dope.
banger.
I can't wait to check that
It's a
out.
banger.
Yeah, cool. All right, that's a
We'll
wrap.
play you guys the EP too.
Oh, sweet.